Okay, I want you to picture a manuscript. It's profound. It basically rewrites an entire field of psychology, and the author wrote it in 9 days.
9 days. I mean, it takes me 9 days to answer my email.
Right, but here's the context, and this is where it really hits you. This wasn't written in some quiet library. The man who wrote this had just survived 3 years in Nazi concentration camps.
3 years. And he'd lost everyone, his parents, his brother, his pregnant wife.
He was stripped of literally everything, his family, his name, his possessions, just everything.
And that's exactly why we're here today.
We are doing a deep dive into Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And look, this book has sold millions of copies, but the thing that stood out to me was that Frankl himself, he wasn't happy about that.
Not at all. He saw its success as a symptom of what he called mass misery. He basically said, if this many people are desperate for a book about meaning, it proves we're living in an age where meaning is lost.
Which sets up our mission perfectly. We are not here for motivational quotes.
No. We are digging into the mechanics of survival. How does the human mind handle being completely stripped bare? And how did that nightmare give birth to a whole new school of psychology called logotherapy?
It's really this battle of ideas, you have Freud.
Right. Freud says we're all driven by a will to pleasure. We just want to feel good.
Then Adler comes along and says, no, it's a will to power. We want to be strong.
And then Frankl walks out of Auschwitz and says, you're both missing the most important thing. The deepest human drive is the will to meaning.
And he didn't just theorize it, he lived it.
He proved it in the most brutal laboratory imaginable.
So let's go into that laboratory. It all starts at the train station, Auschwitz.
The arrival. And it's so chilling because of how, I don't know, how casual it is. An SS officer just stands there looking bored.
The finger game.
Yeah, he just flicks his finger, left, right, left, right.
Frankl tries to stand up straight, look fit for work. The officer turns him to the right.
And he didn't know it at the time, but right meant forced labor. Left meant the gas chambers.
And 90% of the people on his transport went left.
90%.
Yeah.
Later, he asks where his friend is, the one sent to the left.
Yeah.
And the other prisoners, they point to a chimney.
That's where your friend is, floating up to heaven. I mean,
Yeah.
how did your brain even process that?
It doesn't. Not at first. That's what he calls phase one, the delusion of reprieve.
Yeah.
It's this irrational hope that maybe it's not as bad as it looks.
A defense mechanism.
Totally. Your mind just refuses to accept the reality because it would be too overwhelming. But that delusion, it has a shelf life.
Yeah.
And for him, it breaks in the shower room.
When he tries to save his manuscript.
The only thing he has left. He's sewn it into his coat. He begs an older prisoner to help him save it, and the guy just laughs.
And in that laugh, it all shatters. He realizes he has nothing. He's just a number.
And that leads to phase two. After the shock comes, apathy.
An emotional death.
That's a shield. You have to build it. If you actually felt the full horror of every single moment, you'd go insane. So your emotions just shut down.
There's that story he tells about the typhus hut. It's so vivid.
It's brutal. A man dies, and Frankl just watches as the others strip the body for scraps. One guy grabs potatoes, another takes the shoes.
And Frankl.
He's just sipping his soup.
Yeah.
He watches them drag the corpse out, the head bumping on the stairs, bump, bump, bump. And he feels absolutely nothing.
He had to feel nothing. But there was a line, right? There was a point where that apathy turned into something else, into giving up.
Yes. And the signal was the cigarettes.
Cigarettes were currency. You traded them for food.
Exactly. So if you saw a regular prisoner smoking his own cigarette, you knew.
You knew he'd given up the will to live.
He was cashing out. He decided that little bit of pleasure right now was worth more than a few more days of misery. Frankl said those men were usually dead within 48 hours.
And this is the pivot. This is the core of the whole book. Because, modern psychology would say if you treat a man like an animal.
He becomes an animal. The environment dictates everything.
And yeah, many did. Frankl is clear about that. But, and this is the aha moment, not everyone did.
Some people shared their last crust of bread. Some comforted others.
And that single fact, however rare, proves that we are not just products of our circumstances.
Frankl said you could take everything from a man but one thing.
The last of the human freedoms. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. To choose one's own way.
That's the thesis. Between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. And in that space is our power.
Okay, but how? I mean, that sounds great as a philosophy, but practically. When you're starving and freezing, how do you actually choose your attitude? How did he do it?
He used these incredible mental techniques. One was self-detachment.
Where he imagined he was giving a lecture?
Yes, in the middle of this freezing, miserable march, he forces his mind to jump into the future. He pictures himself in a warm lecture hall at a podium, and the topic of his lecture is the psychology of the concentration camp.
That is so meta. He's literally objectifying his own suffering while it's happening.
Exactly. He becomes the observer, not just the victim. It creates distance. It gives the suffering a purpose. He's gathering data.
And then there was the other technique, the power of love.
This one is just, wow. He's marching, and he starts having a conversation in his head with his wife.
Who he doesn't even know is alive or dead.
He has no idea.
Mm.
But he realizes it doesn't matter. He could feel her presence so intensely. He said love goes beyond the physical person. It's a spiritual connection. That conversation gave him a why.
Which brings us to that Nietzsche quote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow."
That's the entire formula in one sentence.
Yeah.
For Frankl, the why was his wife in his manuscript. For others, it was a child waiting for them.
But if you lost your why...
You were done. The mind gave up, and the body followed. He tells that story about the man who had a dream the war would end for him on March 30th.
He put all his hope on that one date.
He did. And as the date got closer and the war wasn't ending, he got sick. On March 31st, he was dead.
It wasn't the typhus that killed him.
It was the disappointment, the loss of meaning. His why expired, so his how collapsed.
So Frankl gets out, he survives, and he takes all of this experience and builds it into a formal therapy, logotherapy.
Right. And he argues that even though we're not in camps, we face our own crisis of meaning.
The existential vacuum.
Which is really just a fancy term for profound boredom, a feeling of emptiness. He identified what he called Sunday neurosis.
I think we all know that feeling.
Oh, yeah. It's that dread that hits on a Sunday afternoon when the busyness of the week stops and you're left alone with the thought, is this all there is?
And we try to fill that void with stuff, pleasure,
Yes.
power, money.
But it's like trying to fill a hole with sand. It doesn't work.
So how do we find meaning? Frankl gives us 3 paths. The first one is pretty obvious.
Creating a work or doing a deed. Your contribution to the world. For him, it was rewriting his book.
The second is experiencing something or encountering someone.
Right. Taking something in from the world. This is where love fits, or beauty. He talks about prisoners stopping to watch a sunset. Starving men, pausing to appreciate beauty. That gave the moment meaning.
And the third one, this is the toughest one. It's the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering.
And we have to be so clear here. He is not saying suffering is good.
Right. It's not masochism.
No. If you can change your circumstances, you must. But if the suffering's unavoidable, like a terminal illness or the loss of a loved one.
Then you can find meaning in how you face it.
Exactly. And that story of the elderly doctor is the perfect example.
Tell us that one.
So this doctor comes to Frankl, completely depressed. His wife, whom he loved very much, had died 2 years before, and he just couldn't get over it.
And Frankl doesn't prescribe him anything.
He just asks one question. He says, "Doctor, what would have happened if you had died first and your wife had to survive you?"
And the doctor says, oh, that would have been terrible for her. She would have suffered so much.
And then Frankl just says, "You see, doctor, you have spared her that suffering, but now you have to pay the price by surviving and mourning her."
Wow.
The pain didn't go away, but the despair did. His suffering now had a meaning. It was a sacrifice.
Despair is just suffering without meaning.
That's it. That's the key.
I want to talk about one of the practical tools from logotherapy because it's so brilliant. Paradoxical intention.
It's a fantastic little bit of mental jujitsu.
Yeah.
It's based on the idea that fear often creates the very thing we're afraid of.
Like you're afraid you're gonna blush, so you get anxious and then you blush.
It's a feedback loop. So Frankl's solution is to try to do it on purpose, to wish for the very thing you fear.
Like the sweating doctor.
Yeah. This man was terrified of sweating in front of people. So Frankl told him, next time you're in a room full of people, I want you to actively try to sweat. Say to yourself, I'm going to show them how much a person can sweat.
And what happened?
He couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The moment he tried to do it, he broke the fear cycle.
You take the power away from the anxiety by almost laughing at it.
That's exactly it. You detach from it through humor.
So before we wrap up, there's this idea of tragic optimism. It seems like a contradiction.
It does, but it's about being optimistic in spite of the tragic triad. Pain, guilt, and death. We all face them. The question is how.
And he talks about that student, Jerry Long.
An incredible story. Broke his neck in a diving accident. Quadriplegic. But he wrote to Frankl, typing with a mouthstick.
And he said,
He said, I broke my neck. It didn't break me. He found a new meaning in helping others from his wheelchair. That is tragic optimism,
yeah.
using tragedy as a springboard.
It really flips the whole question of life on its head. We walk around asking, what do I want from life?
And Frankl says that's the wrong question. Life is the one asking the questions.
And we answer with our actions.
With our responsibility.
Yeah.
Which is why he proposed that the Statue of Liberty on the East Coast.
Needs a statue of responsibility on the West Coast.
Exactly. Because freedom without responsibility is just chaos.
I love that. Okay, so one final thought to leave everyone with. It's about getting old.
Ah, the granary.
Yeah. We usually think of aging as a loss, losing possibilities.
But Frankl says no. The past isn't lost. It's stored. Everything you've done, everyone you've loved, every hardship you've faced with courage, you've harvested those things. They're safe in your granary.
Having been is the surest kind of being.
That's the line. A young person has possibilities. An old person has realities. And no one can ever take those away from you.
So aging isn't a loss, it's a harvest.
What a beautiful, comforting thought. It makes every single moment matter.
Well, this has been heavy, but I think incredibly hopeful.
It's a reminder that no matter what, we always have that one final freedom.
The freedom to choose our attitude. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
And to you listening, we'll leave you with that reversal. Life is asking you a question right now. What's your answer going to be? We'll see you next time.